Mass and energy, often thought of as distinct forces, are in truth different manifestations of the same essence. This idea may appear abstract or even unsettling to the rational mind, but it is one of the greatest revelations modern science has unveiled. Beneath the surface of the visible world, reality is far more fluid, far more responsive than we were ever taught to believe. It does not move forward in a straight line, dictated solely by cause and effect. It swirls and bends with every thought, every intention, every spark of consciousness. And here lies the quiet truth that few are ready to hear. Reality is not something that merely happens to you. It is something you create in every moment, with every focus of your mind. Most people walk through life blind to this power, not because it doesn't exist within them, but because they have been deliberately trained to ignore it. They have been taught to obey the limits of the material world, to seek answers outside themselves, to fear uncertainty, and to define truth only by what can be seen and measured. But what if you were to look beyond the veil? What if you could remember, not learn, but remember, that your mind is not just a vessel for thoughts, but a force of creation itself? This is not fantasy. This is not superstition. It is the cutting edge of quantum physics, the rediscovered wisdom of ancient civilizations, and the lived experience of those who have dared to reclaim the energy within them. Your thoughts are not passive. They are not locked inside your head. Every thought you think generates a wave, an energetic pulse that moves outward into the quantum field, and that field is listening. Always. Your entire life has been shaped not by fate nor by luck, but by the patterns of thought and emotion you dwell in most consistently. This is the reason why some people, no more talented or deserving than others, seem to draw success, connection, and prosperity to them with uncanny ease, while others, even with great effort, remain stuck. The key difference is energy. The key difference is consciousness. Quantum experiments have shown us that even subatomic particles, the building blocks of matter, change behavior depending on whether or not they are being observed. The presence of a conscious observer alters the outcome. Let that sink in. If the simple act of looking can change a particle's path, what does that mean for the world you're creating with your constant attention, your inner dialogue, your emotional state? You have already experienced this, even if you didn't recognize it. A thought that won't leave your mind suddenly appears as a real situation in your life. A fear you've nurtured quietly manifests in an unwanted event. A vision you've held with joy eventually materializes, not through effort alone, but through your sustained belief in its inevitability. These are not coincidences. They are feedback loops. The universe is not punishing or rewarding you. It is responding to your frequency. And yet, 99% of people unknowingly program themselves to stay small. They repeat internal stories of limitation. They speak of what they lack more than what they seek. They worry, hesitate, and doubt, not realizing that every one of these thoughts is sending a command into the field, a command to recreate more of the same. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can rewrite the program. You can interrupt the loop. You can consciously engage the hidden force within you that has always been active, but never directed with precision. That force is your mind, fueled by emotion, amplified by the energy of your heart. When you bring thought and feeling into alignment, when you feel what you want as if it already exists, you initiate a shift in the quantum field. And that shift ripples outward, setting into motion the circumstances, opportunities, and connections that bring your vision into form. This is not theoretical, it is real, it is measurable, it is the forgotten art of energy mastery. But be warned, once you open this door, you cannot close it. Once you begin to see the fabric of reality bend in response to your inner state, you can no longer blame the world for your results. You become responsible, and in that responsibility lies your greatest freedom. Are you ready to step through? Most people believe they are thinking freely, making choices based on logic and reason, but in truth, they are simply replaying old programming. These mental programs were not written by them, but by culture, by upbringing, by authority, by repetition. Day after day, they reinforce the same loops. I'm not good enough, I never have enough. Life is a struggle. People can't be trusted. Money is hard to make. Even when they try to change, they do so from within the same system of belief that created the problem in the first place. They wish for more, but they feel lack. They want change, but they focus on what's wrong. And the field, always listening, always responding, simply gives them more of what they are emitting. But energy does not lie. No matter what words you speak or affirmations you recite, what truly matters is your dominant frequency, the vibration you dwell in most consistently. If you desire abundance but carry the emotion of scarcity, your life will mirror the scarcity. If you dream of love but live in fear, you will repel the very intimacy you crave. This is the harsh but liberating truth. You attract not what you want, but what you are. This is why the first step toward transformation is not action, but awareness. You must learn to observe your thoughts without becoming them. You must learn to feel your emotions without being ruled by them. Only then can you begin to consciously redirect your inner energy. And the simplest, most powerful way to begin is through breath, that ancient, silent bridge between body and mind, between unconscious and conscious. When you breathe deeply, slowly, deliberately, you begin to shift from survival into presence. You activate the parasympathetic nervous system, calming your heart, stabilizing your mind, opening the gateway to deeper perception. With your hand over your chest and your awareness on your breath, you can enter coherence, a state where your heart and brain begin to operate in harmony, where your inner chaos settles into clarity. In this state, you are no longer projecting fear into the field, you are transmitting alignment. And the field, always reflecting, begins to shift accordingly. This is not mystical imagination. It is physiology. It is neuroscience. It is ancient truth meeting modern science. When you enter coherence, your electromagnetic field becomes more ordered, more expansive. Your intentions gain power. Your presence affects the room before you even speak. People feel something, even if they don't know what it is. This is the power of someone who lives from the inside out. Now imagine cultivating this state each day. Not just for a minute of calm in the morning, but as a living practice. Imagine training yourself to return to coherence whenever fear arises, whenever doubt whispers, whenever chaos knocks at your door. You become the eye in the storm, not untouched by the world, but unshaken within it. Your energy becomes steady, anchored, and deliberate. And the universe, by its very nature, begins to match that steadiness with opportunities, clarity, and flow. At this point, manifestation is no longer effortful. It is not a technique, it is a consequence, the natural outcome of energetic mastery. You no longer beg reality to change. You embody the version of you that already lives the change. You act, speak, and move from the frequency of the result you seek, not out of force but from remembrance. And when you do this often enough, long enough, that version of you is no longer a future possibility. It becomes the only reality your system knows how to create. The human brain, for all its complexity, is far more than an organ of thought and memory. It is a quantum interface, a biological processor designed not just to interpret reality, but to help shape it. Within your neurons lie microscopic structures called microtubules, which some scientists now believe function at the quantum level. This means your brain isn't merely reacting to the world around you. It's interacting with the quantum fabric of the universe in real time, influencing outcomes long before you take any physical action. Your subconscious mind, which operates beneath your awareness, is far more powerful than you've been led to believe. It controls your habits, filters your perceptions, and generates up to 95% of your daily behavior. And unlike the conscious mind, which works through logic and effort, the subconscious operates through repetition and feeling. It does not respond to commands, it responds to energy. This is why so many people struggle to change. They attempt to shift their lives through willpower alone, repeating affirmations, forcing discipline, chasing goals, but deep within, they still feel the same. And so nothing truly changes. The outer effort collapses under the weight of inner contradiction. But the moment you begin to shift your dominant frequency, to consistently feel as though you already are the person you aspire to become, your subconscious starts to rewire itself to support that version of reality. This process is not instantaneous. It is a practice, a daily discipline of presence, of awareness, of energy hygiene. Each morning you must choose your state before the world chooses it for you. Each time fear arises, you must pause and remember that fear is not truth. It is a frequency, and one you do not have to live in. Each breath becomes an act of reprogramming. Each moment of gratitude becomes a magnetic signal, inviting more of that feeling into your life. And as this becomes your new normal, you begin to see proof, not through dramatic miracles at first, but through subtle shifts. People respond to you differently. Conversations flow, problems resolve without force. You receive insights at just the right moment. The world begins to unfold with a kind of quiet cooperation. It's not that challenges disappear. It's that your state is no longer at war with them. You face them with such grounded clarity that they lose their power to destabilize you. This is coherence in action. This is subconscious reprogramming, not through struggle, but through alignment. You are not pretending. You are remembering who you were before fear was learned. And in that remembrance, you begin to attract the life that matches your true frequency. In truth, there is no higher intelligence than your own aligned self. When your mind, heart, and body move as one, when your thoughts support your emotions, and your emotions support your vision, you become unstoppable. Not because life gets easier, but because you are no longer creating resistance within yourself. You flow with the current you used to fight. You move with grace through what once felt like chaos. And everything, from your health to your relationships to your success, begins to mirror that inner order. Your body is not merely flesh and bone. It is a living conduit for energy, constantly receiving, processing, and transmitting subtle signals. Every breath you take, every step you walk, every beat of your heart contributes to a dynamic flow that ancient civilizations once understood deeply, and that modern science is only now beginning to rediscover. The energy that animates you is not metaphorical, it is measurable. The Chinese called it qi, the Indians prana. And though the names vary, the essence is the same. A life force that when balanced and strong grants clarity, vitality, and power, and when blocked or depleted brings fatigue, confusion, and disconnection. This energy flows through pathways in your body, much like electricity through circuits. And just as electrical current can be disrupted by faulty wiring, so too can your internal energy be obstructed by stress, tension, or emotional chaos. Most people leak energy without realizing it, clenching muscles unnecessarily, holding their breath during moments of anxiety, slumping their posture, or obsessively replaying past regrets and future fears. These habits slowly drain the battery of the body, leaving behind exhaustion with no visible cause. But just as energy can be lost, it can also be cultivated. It begins with the breath. Slow, conscious breathing instantly shifts your nervous system, grounding you, calming your heart rate, and opening the gates for energy to circulate more freely. This is why even a few minutes of deep breathing each day can drastically alter your state, not just mentally, but energetically. It is the foundation. From this, movement becomes a tool not of exercise alone, but of energy redirection. Gentle stretches, mindful walking, even simple shifts in posture begin to reactivate blocked flow. You don't need advanced techniques or spiritual rituals to begin. Just awareness, just presence, just the willingness to listen to your body and treat it as the intelligent system it is. And then there is the emotional layer, perhaps the most misunderstood yet most powerful aspect of energy work. Emotions are not intangible moods. They are biochemical signals that shape your vibration in real time. Joy, gratitude, love, these elevate your frequency, making your field more coherent, more magnetic. Anger, shame, worry, these compress and distort the field, weakening its ability to align with higher outcomes. The key is not to avoid negative emotions, but to learn from them and then to gently return to balance. Each time you do so, your baseline strengthens, your resilience grows. Over time, your energy system becomes like a finely tuned instrument. High energy is no longer something you reach for, it becomes your default. You begin to notice when your field contracts and know how to restore it. You stop needing caffeine, distractions, or validation to feel alive. You generate your own power from within. And perhaps most importantly, you begin to notice that the world responds to your energy long before it responds to your words or actions. You walk into a room, and people feel something. You speak less, but are heard more. Opportunities seem to arrive without force. Solutions arise without struggle. This is the mark of someone who has remembered how to manage their energy. Someone who has learned not to waste it on chaos, but to invest it in creation. Every day becomes an act of energetic alignment. Every moment becomes an opportunity to either expand or contract. And you, now awake, begin to choose deliberately. At the edge of modern science lies a truth so profound it seems more like poetry than physics. At the quantum level, reality does not behave in any way we would expect. Particles exist in multiple states at once until observed. Time flows in nonlinear waves. Matter itself flickers in and out of existence. What this means is that the world we perceive as solid and stable is, at its most fundamental level, a vibrating field of probability, shaped by awareness. This is not theory, it is observation. In the quantum realm, particles do not follow one fixed path. They take all possible paths simultaneously and only collapse into a specific outcome when measured. This collapse is called decoherence. And the thing that causes it, astonishingly, is conscious observation. The presence of awareness determines what becomes real. This is the essence of the double-slit experiment, which shattered the illusion of an objective universe. The observer is not separate from the observed. The experimenter does not stand outside the experiment. Consciousness is woven into the very fabric of reality. Now imagine what this means for your daily life. Every thought you focus on is a form of observation. Every belief you reinforce is a kind of measurement. Every emotion you dwell in is a command to the field. This is what I choose to collapse into reality. You are never neutral. You are always broadcasting, always selecting, always shifting the invisible field of potential into the visible world of form. But the quantum universe is not just sensitive to thought. It responds to vibration. This is why two people can set the same goal, take similar actions, and yet experience wildly different results. It is not about what they do. It is about who they are energetically while doing it. One may move in fear, the other in faith. One may act from doubt, the other from conviction. And the field, listening, alive, immediate, responds accordingly. The quantum field operates like a mirror, but it is not reflecting your desires. It is reflecting your dominant state of being. And this state is not something you fake. It is something you practice into being until it becomes effortless. The more often you dwell in trust, gratitude, confidence, and presence, the more reality begins to organize itself around those frequencies. You start to attract rather than chase. You align rather than resist. You begin to experience what mystics have always described, that life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. This connection to the field also explains phenomena long dismissed by conventional thought. Intuition, synchronicity, déjà vu, sudden downloads of insight, even the magnetic presence of certain individuals. These are not accidents. They are echoes of your entanglement with the greater intelligence that animates all things. They are signs that you are not a small, isolated being in a random world, but a conscious participant in a living, intelligent cosmos. To work with this reality is not to control it, but to cooperate with it. You do not need to understand the equations of quantum theory to feel the truth of it in your body. You only need to slow down, listen, and tune in. Each moment is a gateway. Each breath is an access point. Each shift in attention is a chance to choose a different future. And over time, as you learn to stay in coherence longer, as you learn to hold the frequency of what you desire with calm certainty, you begin to experience what once felt impossible, the bending of reality, not through force, but through resonance. Your body is not just the home of consciousness. It is its amplifier. Every cell, every organ, every subtle rhythm is part of a vast energetic orchestra that responds to how you live, how you think, and how you feel. If consciousness is the composer, then your body is the instrument. And like any instrument, it can be either in tune or out of tune. Each morning as you wake, your energy is reset. You begin the day with a charge, just like a battery. But what you do with that energy, how you breathe, what you eat, what you focus on, determines whether it flows freely or is slowly drained away. Most people don't even realize that they are leaking energy constantly. They clench their jaw while scrolling through a screen. They rush through routines without breath. They carry thoughts that tighten the muscles and cloud the brain. It is not life that exhausts them. It is the unconscious friction of being out of alignment. Yet energy, once understood, becomes the most precious and manageable resource you have. Through small but powerful habits, you can restore and even amplify your charge. Breathing deeply through the belly rather than shallowly in the chest immediately signals to your nervous system that you are safe. And in safety, energy flows. Moving the body with intention, even for a few minutes, clears stagnation and renews circulation. Eating fresh, whole foods rich in life force nourishes not just your organs but your electromagnetic field. Even light matters. Morning sunlight sets your internal clock, tells your pineal gland when to wake and when to rest, and regulates hormonal balance. Cold exposure, a brisk splash of water, an unheated shower, teaches your system to regulate and respond rather than overreact. These are not just health hacks, they are energetic rituals. And when practiced consistently, they turn your body into a vessel that can hold higher frequencies for longer periods. But the most important source of energy in your life is still your emotional state. Emotions are not fleeting moods, they are fields. When you dwell in joy, your field expands. When you live in resentment, it contracts. When you cultivate gratitude, you become magnetic. When you cling to judgment, your energy becomes chaotic. You may not see this with the eyes, but you can feel it. So can others, so can the world. This is why caring for your environment is also caring for your energy. A cluttered room is a cluttered field. A toxic conversation is a leak in your vibration. Time spent with someone who inspires you will often leave you buzzing, awake, renewed. Not because they gave you something, but because their frequency reminded you of your own. And this too is part of the deeper science. Humans resonate. Like tuning forks, we rise or fall to match those we surround ourselves with. To maintain high energy is to become discerning, not judgmental, but intentional. You begin to choose how you spend your time, what you give your attention to, how you nourish your mind and heart. You no longer chase stimulation, you cultivate aliveness. You begin to live as if energy is sacred, because it is. And when you do, something remarkable begins to happen. You no longer wait for the world to lift you. You rise on your own. You no longer depend on conditions to feel good. You feel good, and the conditions begin to reflect that. Life stops feeling like something you have to survive. It becomes something you create. Energy mastery is not about escaping life's challenges. It is about meeting them from a different frequency. It is the quiet, consistent discipline of choosing your internal state regardless of what the external world presents. It is the ability to stand in the storm without becoming the storm, to hold your center when everything around you begs you to forget it. Most people wait for their circumstances to change before they allow themselves to feel peace. They wait for success to feel worthy. They wait for love to feel whole. They wait for freedom to feel alive. But all of these are frequencies, and frequencies cannot be received if you are not tuned to them first. To feel peace is to attract peace. To feel worthy is to invite success. To embody wholeness is to become magnetic to love. So the training begins. Not once a week, not only when you feel like it, but each day like a sacred appointment with yourself. Sit still, close your eyes, place your hand on your chest and breathe. Not to empty the mind, but to fill the body. Not to escape thought, but to focus it. Picture yourself not as you were yesterday, but as you already are in your highest timeline. Not someday, now. See the way that version of you speaks, walks, chooses, leads. Feel their frequency. Let it rise in your body like a memory you forgot you carried, because it is not fiction, it is a potential. And the more you dwell there, the more you collapse time. From this state, take action. Make decisions, speak, move. The universe does not respond to who you say you are. It responds to the energetic truth you are emitting, and when your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are all aligned with your vision, reality has no choice but to organize itself around you. You will begin to notice things. People listening more closely when you speak, doors opening without being knocked on, ideas flowing through you rather than being forced from you. This is not coincidence. This is coherence. This is resonance. This is the invisible world moving in rhythm with you because you have chosen to move in rhythm with it. But the journey does not end when things begin to shift. That is when it truly begins. The greater your coherence, the greater your responsibility. You must protect your energy like a sacred flame, not with fear, but with reverence. You must know when to say yes and when to say no. You must learn when to push and when to pause. Mastery is not control. It is flow with awareness. Eventually, this becomes your natural state. You no longer need to try to manifest. You are the manifestation. You no longer try to be seen. Your presence speaks before your words. You no longer need to chase meaning. Everything you touch becomes meaningful, because you have returned to your true nature, not a seeker, but a source. Everything you've ever sought outside, peace, success, love, recognition, begins within. You do not have to wait for reality to change in order to feel whole. You must choose the feeling first, and then reality reflects it back. Once you learn to manage your energy, through breath, through focus, through vibration, you stop reacting to life and begin creating it. Reality is not fixed. It is not happening to you. It is a mirror, waiting for your signal. In every moment, you are selecting a version of your life with the frequency you hold. And once you truly see this, there is no going back. From that moment on, you are no longer just a person trying to survive. You are the signal, the magnet, the creator of your world.